Hello, welcome to a new video. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at the best buffs for Season 21 for the Open Great League. There are a lot more videos coming in a similar style here on this channel towards different kind of topics for the next season, where you're gonna learn a lot of what Pokemon you want to build, what Pokemon do you not want to build, a lot more towards the new meta. There's actually more happening than you expect. Trust me, if I tell you there's more happening that you expect there as well. There's definitely a lot more Pokemon that are going to have more play next season. There's going to be a lot more changes maybe to the meta than you might expect. Well, still, the core meta is going to stay the same. There are definitely a lot of Pokemon that have a little bit more play enough. Basically, we're going to take a look at 10 of those Pokemon here today. And so, if you enjoy this type of videos, I would really appreciate if you could leave a like and subscribe to this channel. Would really mean a lot to me. And let's move on here now to the Pokemon number 1, which is Electrivire. This Pokemon is getting a double buff. Both Thunder Shock as well as Ice Punch getting buffed. And this is for the Great League. This Pokemon before never been seen really in the Great League. Nobody was using this one. And now, it definitely got a decent increase here. Only +1 win in terms of the matchups, but you still have an average rating increase of nearly 40 average rating, which is really decent. The thing with Electrivire is, this Pokemon, as long as you're gonna be able to get like a little bit of an energy lead for this Pokemon, it completely earns their teams. Like if you have, I think I looked it up as well, if you have 2,000 advantage, you win, I think 25 wins or something in this kind of meta, which is kind of ridiculous, especially if you use it as a Say Swap. Very solid Say Swap if the opponent doesn't have a Mud Step user. This is the one issue for this meta, which maybe kind of keeps it the same. Mud Step is a little bit overpowered still. And this kind of makes it a bit awkward for all electric type Pokemon, but Electrivire, especially in limited meta, is going to have a lot of play. This, by the way, is kind of sorted by the average rating here for today. So this is the lowest average rating of this list here today. Still, Electrivire going to have a lot of play even in the Great League. Like even the Great League, in every single league, this Pokemon going to be very, very interesting. And Ice Punch and Wild Charge doesn't have any real Pokemon that are going to be able to resist it. Only the Magnezone line is going to be able to do that. The rest should be kind of taking at least some neutral damage from this combination, which is really overpowered. So yeah, very cool Pokemon here for the first one. Next one is going to be Goodra. This is only gonna get a slight buff, and this is something that actually, interestingly enough, gives you +3 wins, which is interesting. Like, I didn't expect this at all here, but yeah, apparently Goodra actually gonna get a solid buff with this one. And if you're gonna take a look at the meta here right now, I am not too sure why we all of a sudden lose against Pangoro and the Primeape. This is not swapped in between. This is just how it came out for PvPoke. I don't know really what happened there. Apparently we won against the Annihilape. But basically, most matchups are going to be the same with this move update here of Thunder Punch getting buffed. But there's going to be some of them that are going to be a little bit better. It's just, generally speaking, a tiny buff to Goodra. Still decent average rating. Still going to be an interesting Pokemon for the next season and going to have a bit more play even with the move Thunder Punch. This Pokemon going to be even better as well for something like the Master League Premier Cup, if this is even available. I don't think it is actually for the next season, but for future seasons, because you're going to be able to have better players against some of the Pokemon there. Also for the Great League, which this video is about, this Pokemon going to have some solid play. Next on, we're going to have Starmie. Starmie currently was running Quick Attack, Power Gem, and Ice Beam. Quick Attack is a move that's not obtainable anymore, only if you got this Pokemon basically literally in the first year of Pokemon Go. This Pokemon was still doing Quick Attack. I don't think it actually learns in the main CS games. This is the main reason why this Pokemon doesn't have this move anymore. I think that's usually the reasoning for it. But as you will see here, it comes from 2 wins. All the way up to 18 wins with 2 move updates here with the Psywave as well as Surf. This Pokemon all of a sudden, from being completely useless, is gonna be insanely meta. And this is also, I think, maybe the record, at this point of time for climbing the most ranks in one season. It's over 800 ranks, I think, that this Pokemon climbed, which is ridiculous. And so coming from basically nowhere to be used to being one of the strongest Pokemon for the Open Great League is quite ridiculous. So can't wait for Starmie. Definitely cool Pokemon. I don't think it's as good as it shows here, by the way, on paper, because this Pokemon is quite squishy. So Pokemon like Gaston going to be very solid in the 2-shield scenario. And for PvPoke, I always go for the standard settings, which is the average of the 0 and 1-shield scenario for the things to see in the middle here. And as you're gonna see here, like Pokemon, like for example, the Gaston, mostly gonna win against him in the 2-shield just because he cannot really take those hits. But this Pokemon is going to be very interesting. Definitely one Pokemon that I will showcase for on this channel here for sure. Next Pokemon, a normal Unovan Stunfisk. It's only going to get this tiny buff of getting Thundershock buffed, and there are going to be a lot of Pokemon missing from today's tier list. Like, this is actually the top 10 Pokemon that got buffed in terms of the ranking for the next season, so that's mostly why we're going to have them here, and we're going to kind of compare what is going to be happening for those. But there's going to be another video coming up eventually on this channel about like some more hidden buffs that people maybe didn't really think about yet. And there are quite a lot of them, so there's definitely going to be a lot more coming up, maybe make even 2 videos towards those hidden buffs. Definitely stay tuned for this one, but as you're gonna see, Stunfisk is gonna get a very decent improve. Like, look at the left side, look at the right side. The tiny buff of Thundershock actually impacts this Pokemon quite a bit, especially in matchups like Azumarill. It makes it way better and way clearer for you, making this Pokemon a very solid option. Having great bulk, having great coverage, having again a weakness to Mud type is going to be a bit annoying. I think Mud type is going to be even becoming a little bit more common this next season, even more common than it is nowadays. But again, like, it's kind of something that you then can counter again. Flying type and grass type Pokemon becoming a little bit more common to counter the Mud Slappers, and so it's going to be an interesting one here for sure. And you're gonna see another video as well for secret buffs, basically Pokemon that did not get a buff directly but will be a little bit better next season as well soon on this channel, so definitely stay tuned for this one. Next Pokemon, Bibarel, not really useful currently, running Water Gun, Surf, and Hyper Fang. Surf, of course, getting nerfed recently makes this Pokemon even a little bit worse, but what if we have a Rollout on this Pokemon? Rollout getting added for the next season is going to be a great addition for this Pokemon, and I don't even think that you would want to run Hyper Fang. If possible, I think Return would be kind of cool, or otherwise Hyper Beam I think it learns as well, which would be even a little bit more damage. I don't actually think that Hyper Fang is going to be the best move to go for this Pokemon, but as you can see already, this Pokemon has a lot of play, like a lot of play. Great typing. Completely hard walling for Relegator unless running Crunch is going to be an insane thing to happen there for you. Normal Bibarel apparently is better than the Shadow variant, so you don't even need to invest all the Stardust. Very cheap Pokemon that's going to be very strong, so for sure something you should take a look into. If you have this Pokemon already, you should definitely build these Pokemon from this list here today, by the way. All of those are going to be very nice for next season. Same goes for Gliscor, currently running Fury Cutter, a move that's not stab, a move that doesn't really generate, okay, it does generate energy quite fast, but doesn't really do damage. We're going to have now one that's a little bit of a better option, which is going to be the Sand Tag. Sand Tag going to allow you to basically, I think, have the same energy generation, but doing a little bit more damage and being stab. I think it's actually, is it a clone? I think Fury Cutter and Sand Tag is the same move, but Sand Tag is going to be a stab move, which is going to be very nice. And as you can see here, we're going to be able to win a few more matchups and have, just generally speaking, a bit of a better average rating, while kind of maintaining a very similar playstyle towards it, which is, I guess, kind of cool. What I would like to see maybe is a different charge move than Earthquake on this Pokemon, but I'm not too sure what else you want to run. You could run Rock Tomb, which is not really the best move, but yeah, I feel like if you have Sand Attack already, Earthquake can be a bit more of an overkill, but both of them are going to be fine here together as well. So yeah, this is going to be Gliscor. Gliscor, a very good Pokemon. We can move on to the next one. Togedemaru is actually going to have a better ranking than the Gliscor. Honestly, this Pokemon is funny. Look at this, already winning like 19 matchups and losing 16, gonna go up to 20 only. But what I find so funny is just on how either you're gonna win the matchup clearly or you're gonna lose the matchup clearly. There's nothing in between for this Pokemon, which is I find kind of hilarious. Like, it's literally like either you get hardwalled or you hardwall the opponent. And so yeah, Togedemaru with the buff of Thundershock going to have a bit of better play, especially as you're going to be able to get Pokemon a little bit more into Wild Charge range, which might be an interesting shout as well. But yeah, I feel like this Pokemon definitely going to have some play. It's a Wild Charge user with Thundershock, just like the Electrivire earlier on. Magnezone, for example, does not learn Thundershock. The Magneton does learn Thundershock, which makes it a little bit better. But yeah, here we're going to see one Pokemon that learns Thundershock again. There are actually going to be some more that I have I want to talk about. They're maybe even better in average rating here, but are not as shown on PvPoke. So stay tuned for some more videos. I have a lot of interesting Pokemon that are going to be very good next season. So stay tuned. I actually already had some research into that one. Next one, you're going to have the Alolan Sandslash, which apparently loses meta rankings. I have no idea how this happened, but apparently we are going to go, even though we have the Ice Punch buffed, we're going to have a decrease of the average rating there, maybe because other Pokemon are a bit stronger. This could be something I could see. Because on the right side, every kind of change of the meta is already implemented, so like Thundershock got buffed and all of the other kind of stuff. While on the left side, it's against the old meta. And so I'm fairly certain that is mostly the reason why the average rating is by 4, tiny a bit smaller. But still, Alolan Sandslash got a little bit of an increase in the ranking, I think by like 4 or 5 ranking points, like I think ranked 19. You actually want to have the non-shadow variant, by the way. The extra bulk in the current meta is actually quite handy. And yeah, Powder Snow definitely is also going to be very, very solid for it. For example, I think the non-shadow variant can easily take an Earthquake from a Clodsire, which the shadow variant cannot. And that's kind of something that really helps in that matchup. So yeah, non-shadow Sandslash is a little bit better in the current meta. And this is definitely a Pokemon you want to have for the next season. Same goes for Diggersby. This Pokemon got all the way up from, I think, rank 9 before to rank 5 now for the new season. And definitely going to have a nice increase. I talked about it already in previous videos, basically, that I thought that the Fire Punch upgrade is actually going to be very, very impactful for this Pokemon. I was definitely correct here. While on paper, you're going to win 2 more matchups than before, which is like not crazy, but look what you win already. Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is a Pokemon that usually was decided to like use to hard counter the Diggersby, but with the Quick Attack update, which we had like a few seasons ago, and now the Fire Punch update, this Pokemon has not really a shot even against the Diggersby anymore, making Diggersby a very, very neutral Pokemon to run, and very, very difficult to hard counter, which is great for this thing, but also definitely a Pokemon that really benefited from recent seasons, getting Scorching Scent on this moveset, getting Fire Punch buffed, getting Quick Attack buffed like a little bit earlier ago already. Of course, Mudshot got nerfed for this Pokemon, but Quick Attack is still a very solid move, which already was kind of in a similar light as Mudshot previously. So yeah, this Pokemon gonna be one of the biggest meta threats for the next season, and Fire Punch buff definitely gonna help this Pokemon out by quite a bit, like definitely by quite a bit. There are a lot of matchups where it is really gonna matter, and so yeah, Diggersby you have to have. And here we are actually at the final Pokemon for today's video already. We're going to have here Steelix. And we have the Shadow Steelix in the 2-shit scenario that we're going to take a look at, because it's going to be the best scenario for this Pokemon. This Pokemon is designed to usually either stay in the lead, try to align yourself, or use it as a Safe Swap, try to align yourself there, or use it in the back and try to just close out battles. But in any kind of case, or while it's a bulky Pokemon, the 2-shit scenario is the best one for it, because you have a hard-hitting fast move and you have Psychic Phase to drop the opponent's defense. And this is exactly what we're going to have here as well. And we will see that the average rating is going to increase while the wins and losses kind of stay the same. But if we're going to take a look at the meta here itself, we see that even Quagsire and even Superior we would have been able to win against with the Dragon Tail, but the Thunderfang doesn't allow us to do that. But there are other Pokemon that we're going to be able to knock out with that, which is, for example, the Azumarill or the Feraligatr, which are going to be interesting Pokemon. So, what can we say about Steelix? I feel like it depends on which role you kind of want to have this Pokemon in. I feel like for both lead and Safe Swap, Thunderfang would make a lot of sense. But I think as a closer, I think Dragon Tail still makes a more amount of sense there, kinda, because you're going to use it to like trap opponents, and a lot of Pokemon you can actually now beat a little bit better with that one. But for example, if you use Steelix as a Safe Swap and you're gonna get out something like a Feraligatr and you have Thunderfang, you're going to be able to knock that out. So I feel like Steelix is going to be a very tricky one to counter, because you have to see first which kind of fast move they have, and they already get some energy with that one, and they have moves to kind of debuff you if you want to swap out into a different Pokemon, making it a very, very tough one to actually deal with. And so Steelix, I feel like both movesets are going to be kind of in an equal scale viable there. Both Dragon Tail as well as Thunderfang going to be very good for it. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I will see you then. Bye bye.